Kia ora and g'day everyone. We begin a new series this week looking at our school's namesake, Peter. Now you'll know St. Peter's is very famous, not just because it's our school's name, it's also the Catholic school's name in Cambridge, it's the cathedral's name in Hamilton, and another school in Auckland is also called St. Peter's. Indeed, the Basilica in Rome is called St. Peter's. Peter himself wasn't actually famous for any particular achievement. He was rather famous because of who he believed in, and that's Jesus Christ. Well, when Peter was born, his actual name that his mother gave him was Simon, which means reed. It has these connotations of not being a particularly good name, of that of being blown round by the wind or blown round by culture. Simon Peter grew up in Bethsaida with his brother Andrew, and they were fishermen, and the fishing business wasn't really working because the lake had started to become silted up, that's Lake Galilee, at Bethsaida. So he moved his fishing business from Bethsaida to Capernaum, which was the best place for fishing in the entire lake. Simon Peter encountered Jesus when Jesus came walking along the shoreline with a crowd of people. Simon Peter had been fishing all night and caught nothing at all. He was cleaning his nets, and then Jesus came to him and said, "Listen, can I sit in your boat and talk to the people about the kingdom of God?" Well, Peter agreed, and at the end of the sermon, Jesus said, "Listen, let's go fishing." And Simon Peter knew this was a terrible idea because during the daylight hours, it's hard to catch fish because they swim towards the bottom to get away from the light. Anyway, sure enough, he went fishing, caught a huge boatload of fish. He turned to Jesus, fell on his knees and said, "Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." And Jesus ignored what he said and said, "Peter, I want you to stop being a fisherman. I want you to follow me and start to fish for people." Well, Peter's name slowly changed from Simon to Simon Peter, and eventually it became Peter. It started to become Peter towards the back end of Jesus' ministry. See, Jesus sort of recognized something in Peter, that he was rock solid, if you like. Just before Jesus was executed down south in Jerusalem, he took his disciples north to a city called Caesarea Philippi. And there he asked his disciples, "Who are people saying that I am?" And some of his disciples said, "Well, some people think that you're the reincarnation of John the Baptist, and other people are thinking that you're Elijah, back from the dead." And then Simon Peter declared who Jesus was. Simon Peter says, "You are the Messiah, the promised Messiah of the Old Testament, the Son of the living God." And Jesus was so overjoyed with Peter's confession. He said, "Blessed are you, Peter." He said, "Upon this rock I shall build my church." Now, most people get this mixed up. They sort of think Jesus was saying, "Upon you, Peter, I shall build my church," which is not the case. Jesus doesn't say, "Upon you I shall build my church," but rather upon this rock-solid statement that you've made, that I am the Messiah, the Son of the living God, that I shall build my church. And that's really the foundation of what Christians believe, that Jesus is the promised Messiah, the Son of the living God, who died for us and rose back to life again. Well, you'll notice that motto is on our school's motto, Structo Saxo, upon this rock solid statement, I shall build my church, or in the case of us, I shall build my school. I love the life of Simon Peter because we see a life that it doesn't just take off and he gets better and better and better, but rather Simon Peter's life is like this. There are highs and lows. He's someone that you can really actually relate to when you get things really wrong, and then every now and then he gets things really right. And so in his particular life, we see the transformation of a man who once was a reed blown around by the wind and who became a rock which really the church is built on his great statement of who Jesus is, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. I hope this has been a blessing for you. Let me pray now. Gracious and loving God, we just ask for your blessings upon our lives. Encourage us now, we ask. Amen. Go well. Bye for now.